Good evening. I'd like to call to order this business meeting for the Cave Creek Unified School District 93. It is 6 o'clock, and it is Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. Item 1.2, our Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand, and our pledge will be led by our student leader, Audrey Seaman from Horseshoe Trails.
I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1.3, roll call. All members of the board are present, and all members of the cabinet are here. Mr. Dolezal, Dr. Hendrickson, and Mrs. Rodriguez, and Dr. Jensen. Item 1.4, formal adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Any changes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item 1.5, President's Report. Well, I had the pleasure of attending the spelling bee, and the winning word was Albuquerque. And a little fun fact here, and I can't remember his name. Yeah. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Would you like me to give it to you?
Yes, please.
So,
No.
Soren, S-O-R-E-N, careless.
Yes. He had, that was the one word he kept practicing leading up to the spelling bee. And when he was on stage, he was kind of laughing when that word was given to him, because I think out of all of the words, that's the one word he really knew how to spell. Mr. Dolezal and I attended a leadership conference last week, and I also was at the Falcon Fly-In and saw a lot of very enthusiastic incoming freshmen for next year. So that's my report. Board comments.
Since our last business meeting was the middle of December, obviously there was quite a bit going on at the end of the semester and then start of the spring semester. Before Christmas time, was able to attend the high school, the boys basketball, the Silent Night game, which of course is a great tradition that we have up here at Cactus Shadows. After the first of the year, watched girls basketball game. Was able to attend what I believe was the first ever Sonoran Trails Middle School Cultural Festival, which was very nicely done by their students and their PTO. Stuck my head in the door, didn't get a chance to yell bingo, but I did say hi to everybody at Lone Mountain. They had a bingo night last week, which was on the same night as the future Falcon Fly-In up at the high school. So kind of did double duty there. Back to Lone Mountain last Friday, we had kindergarten roundup and saw a great group of incoming families that are very excited to be starting their educations with us at Lone Mountain. Had a coffee with the superintendent. It was my turn to attend that, and that again was at Lone Mountain. So was a good event. Had a nice turnout. So thanks to everybody that attended that. Just on a side note, those coffees with the superintendents are open to any parents, not just specifically the parents that are at the school that it's being held at. So if you're available and would like to come to the next one, I know Ms. Scotto will have that out on the public, the time and place, and you just RSVP, and it gives you a chance in a very neat setting, almost one-to-one, to have a time to talk to the superintendent and some of the cabinet members. So it's a really good time that you can give us some feedback. Saturday morning, of course, was at the track for the CCUEF Run the District. Again, another fantastic event. Great group of runners. The weather was nice. We had the band. We had the Sonoran Trails Cheer Squad there to give them inspiration, and it was a good event. And then one thing that's coming up, and I always like to mention this, on February 1st It's the high school, it's the Powder Puff game. It's a yearly event. The student council group puts that on, and it's the Stand Up to Cancer fundraiser. All of the students that participate usually have a card with a name on it that it's somebody that they know personally that has survived cancer or is going through the process. So if you're looking for something to do on February 1st up at the high school stadium, I believe the JV game starts at 5, and then the varsity game is right afterwards. But it's a neat event, and it's a great fundraiser that Student Council does for the Stand Up to Cancer. So that's my report. Thank you.
It's back to school, and it's been very busy in the Walker household, that's for sure. I was able to attend the honors roll and principal list celebration that they had at Sonoran Trails a couple Fridays ago, followed by the barbecue. My son is always embarrassed when we decide to stay for lunch to sit with him and his buddies on that, but really neat to see all those kids get recognized a couple weeks ago. I was also able to attend the Employee of the Month breakfast over at the Summit Diner. It's really neat to meet all of the staff that get recognized that spend every moment with our children, so that was really neat from all schools. I was also at the Future Falcon Fly-In last week, as I have another son moving up to the high school. So really neat to see all the different programs and offerings that are done there as well, and hear about, man, it's amazing how many things we offer to our students, whether from athletics to clubs to all the different academic offerings as well. I've been to a few 7th grade volleyball games over at Sonoran Trails, so fun to also cheer them on. Let's see, also was at the Glow Dance at Black Mountain Elementary School last Friday. So it was really fun. Principal Owsley was dressed up and had, I believe, his daughter as his date and dancing partner for the evening. This is a fun family time there. Also was at the CCUEF Race the District with my whole family, so made everybody wake up early for that on Saturday morning. But a great event, and all that money goes back into the classrooms and to our teachers as well. And then looking forward to, I had a 6th grader at the middle school today, as all 5 middle schools had their 6th grade classes spend the day at Sonoran Trails. And tomorrow night is Future Stinger Night, which I'll be at, and then daughter participating with the high school Palmies so that they can also do a little performance at the basketball game on Thursday night. So very busy, but fun.
Well, I had a lot of things that I was planning on doing last week, but had this COVID thing come up, and so it kind of took precedence. But I did want to just mention that today got to spend a little time with the student cadre up at the high school, hearing from them, and it was amazing listening to these really intelligent folks looking for what they would like to see from our district. So I just want to thank them for taking the time to talk to us today. That's all I got today.
Yeah, I had the opportunity back in December to attend the teacher staff recognition breakfast at the Summit. That was fun. It's always enlightening to listen to the stories of the teachers and the staff and why they're here and why they chose it, and the ones that have come back. I think we had 1 or 2 who had come up through the district, and so it was fun listening to their stories of where they've gone and now they're back and why, and their enthusiasm for working with all of the rest of our amazing staff and the students. And then also participated today with the cadre of students. And again, it's just always fun to listen to these bright, educated, thoughtful, forward-thinking kids and listen to them, pay attention to them, and wonder what all their life is going to unfold for them. So that was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Item 1.7, Superintendent's Report.
President Busby, members of the board, since it's been a while, this is long, so I'm going to probably talk a little fast, but some of these things we've been covered, but we held our spelling bee January 9th. Congratulations to Soren Careless, our 6th grader at Horseshoe Trails, who run in round 5 with Albuquerque. Runner-up was Grayson Baker, a 5th grader at Lone Mountain. Soren will be heading to the Region 2 spelling bee hosted by Scottsdale Unified on February 9th, so best of luck, Soren. CCUSD was nominated for the Large Business Excellence by the Carefree Cave Creek Chamber. I attended the Celebration of Excellence on Saturday, January 13th, held at the Desert Foothills Library. I'd like to congratulate Heralds for winning that category. They do so much for us and help us out as well. Our CCUEF Run the District was a huge success, over 200 participants. Again, the marching band and STMS cheer gave runners momentum to both start and finish strong. Congratulations to our Cactus Shadows High School cheer and pom teams. They both earned second place in AIA State Championships competition this Saturday. Pom earned second for their hip hop routine and cheer earned second for their game day routine. Future Falcon Night was January 17th. Kindergarten Roundup was January 18th. Future Stinger Night is tomorrow night at Sonoran Trails. All sixth graders visited Sonoran Trails earlier today. And they are welcome to come see with their parents tomorrow. And that begins at 5 p.m. Congratulations to Cactus Shadow Charlene Lamb and Ayanna Moffett. They were nominated for the Arizona High School Sports Award being held June 17th at the Arizona Financial Theater. This is a 9-month student athlete recognition program. Charlene was named as Girls Golfer of the Year, and Ayanna was named for the Girls Swimming and Diving Athlete of the Year, so best of luck to both of them. Sonoran Trails Robotics team won the Connect Award in Flagstaff. This award is given to the team who embodies STEM and represents their community, so way to go for those Stingers. Congratulations to 8th grade student Joey Nix Eggleston, who competed in the Rotax Grand Finals in Bahrain. This is the Olympics of karting, and there were 72 drivers in his class from 60 different countries. So best of luck racing, Nix. Congratulations to the Sonoran Trails girls cross country team who placed second in the district championship. 7th grader Mary Mullenmeister placed 4th, and 8th grader Charlotte Bradbury placed 8th overall. Congratulations to the wrestling team for Sonoran Trails who won the district tournament. Congratulations to the Cactus Shadows ladies soccer team. They captured the championship at the Bodie Larson Classic Diamond Division over winter break. This was their second tournament championship of the season. On the heels of their great play, junior Lila Stroman was nominated and won Arizona Central Female Athlete of the Week for January 5th. So congratulations, Lila, and continued success to our Lady Falcons. Congratulations to Black Mountain students Ethan O'Brien and Joey Neurouter. They participated in the Phoenix All-Stars 11U football game. Division was small, but they played teams from Central Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Delmarva. Congratulations to our board member, Jackie Ulmer. Member Ulmer has completed the Arizona School Board Association new board member orientation program. This is a doorway to receiving recognition for professional development, and this certificate is a prerequisite to all awards. Speaking of board members, January is School Board Recognition Month. And with that, to my board members here, I am honored to express our heartfelt gratitude and esteem to our esteemed board members. Your dedication and tireless efforts to steering our district towards excellence are commendable. Your leadership has been instrumental in shaping the educational landscape of our students. Your commitment to their excellence and overall growth is invaluable and sets a standard of excellence for our entire community. We extend our deepest appreciation for you and the consistent support you provide to our educators and students alike. Your decisions help make it possible for our students to reach their full potential. This recognition not only celebrates the school board, but also acknowledges the collaborative efforts of our entire school community. Together, we strive to create an environment where learning thrives and the possibilities are endless. Thank you for your commitment and for being the driving force behind educational success here in CCUSD. Finally, I would like to introduce Audrey Seaman, the Horseshoe Trails Elementary Student Leader of the Month, on the dais with me this evening.
Horseshoe Trails is special to me because everyone there is Stallion Strong. Stallion Strong to me means having a school where students can do their best because it's the right thing to do, not just because they don't want to get in trouble. People there respect you, listen to what you have to say, and treat you the way they want to be treated. I live Stallion Strong by always trying my hardest on everything, even if it is extremely difficult, and finding ways to help my community and classmates. This includes volunteering at animal shelters through Kiwanis, bringing excitement to the school through student council and helping my classmates succeed by creating videos of step-by-step solutions to academic problems. Given how special Horseshoe Trails is, I appreciate being able to represent my school in front of the school board tonight and our community members. Thank you for recognizing my hard work and dedication to my school.
And that concludes my superintendent's report.
Awesome. Well, we obviously have a lot of things to celebrate, and thank you, Audrey. Item 2.1, call to the public. We have none. All right. Item 3.1, our Students of the Month. It is with immense pleasure and pride that we come together to celebrate the extraordinary accomplishments of some truly exceptional individuals, our Students of the Month. Each month, we are privileged to recognize students who exemplify the core values that define our district: perseverance, leadership, compassion, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Tonight, we are not just honoring academic achievement, but also the qualities that make our students well-rounded individuals and future leaders. The renowned American author and poet Maya Angelou, who once said, "Success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it." This sentiment perfectly encapsulates the essence of students we are celebrating tonight. They have not only achieved remarkable success, but have done so with a genuine passion and a commitment to their craft. Our Students of the Month have shown us what it means to inspire excellence in everything they undertake. They have gone beyond their comfort zones, challenged themselves, and consistently demonstrated a willingness to learn and grow. They serve as beacons of inspiration for their peers and a source of immense pride for their families, teachers, and the entire community. Each student being recognized tonight has a unique story of dedication, hard work, and determination. Whether it's in academics, arts, athletics, community service, or leadership, these students have set a standard of excellence that we all can aspire to. They remind us that greatness is not a distant dream, but a tangible reality that can be achieved through unwavering commitment and a passion for what we do. As we honor our Students of the Month, let us also remember that their achievements are not solely their own. Behind every successful student stands a network of supportive parents, caring teachers, and a community that believes in their potential. It is this collective effort together that nurtures the growth of these remarkable individuals. To the students being celebrated tonight, I want to offer my heartfelt congratulations. Your dedication, enthusiasm, and commitment are an inspiration to us all. You represent the very best of Cave Creek Unified School District, and we are excited to witness the incredible contributions you will make to our world in the years to come. And with that said, we're going to kind of stand up here and All right, our first student of the month is Blakely Jensen from Black Mountain Elementary School. Congratulations. Dominic Fioramonte from Lone Mountain Elementary School. Henry Jointer from Horseshoe Trails Elementary School. Congratulations. Brooks Kingston from Horseshoe Trails. Elodie Waite from Desert Sun Academy. Boston Schuster, Desert Willow Elementary. Megan Hughes, Sonoran Trails. Erica Espina from Cactus Shadows. I was going to say, I just saw her. Parents and families, we're going to take about a 5-minute recess, so if you would like to leave, you're more than welcome. But definitely, if you'd like to stay for our board meeting, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you. Watch your step.
Item 3.1, or excuse me, item, where are we? 3.2, Trust Model Policy Program, Chapters 1 and 2, presented by Mr. Dolezal.
President Busby, members of the board, this item is for you to have a chance to give us any feedback regarding the Trust Model Policy Program, Chapters 1 and 2. On October 24th, 2023, the board unanimously voted 5-0 to start the process of moving the Trust Model Policy Program starting July 1 of 2024. That began our work of crosswalking our current policy to the new one. If you recall from the presentation by Denise Lowell Britt Esquire on September 12th, the policy is rooted in state and federal law and crafted by expert Arizona education and litigation attorneys from several law firms around the state. Since we are moving to the policy drafted by the groups of attorneys that know educational litigation best, we are putting our district in the best position to limit our liability moving forward. On January 10th, 2024, the board was sent the drafts of Chapter 1 and 2, the crosswalk that helped us review our current policy to determine if we needed or wanted to keep anything, a list of policies and procedures that will need updating in the future due to any staff changes, and a list of forms which assist in carrying out policy and or procedures. Chapter 1 covers district governance relating to much of your work, as well as equal opportunity and non-discrimination. And Chapter 2 is covering leadership that relates to your one employee, the superintendent. Our plan is to bring back Chapters 1 and 2 with any updates to consider or questions answered by our attorneys to our February 13th meeting as an action item for approval by a roll call vote. With that, I will open it up for your feedback.
Well, I will, I guess I can start. Being down with COVID gave me a little bit of time to actually read all of these really interesting chapters. And so it was very helpful. It was really good to see how they were organized now, because right now we have these policies that have all these letters and things, and you don't exactly know what they are unless you go through them, or you've been on the boards forever and ever and you know which certain things are. So it was really helpful to see this is this chapter that has to deal with this, and all these things are underneath that. So it was really helpful to find that and see that. I saw some nice changes that just reflect things how they should be currently. So that was really helpful to see. So so far so good. I'm pleased with how it's going. And that what'd you call it, the crosswalk, to see how they compare and where we're going with it is really helpful too. So so far so good.
Anybody else? Comments?
I just appreciated the organization of it. It was a lot easier to follow than our other book in the past. Yeah.
I agree with that too. Very simplified, just organized. Perfect word.
The trust has made it very concise. I do have one question. Some of the detail that's in the current policies, it seems it's not in the trust policies. Is that because those like defining details are now going to be part of procedures?
President Busby, not necessarily. I mean, we've got procedures that are in there as well. Remember that from that presentation, Denise Lowell Britt Esquire really talked about streamlining and focusing on making sure we're covered legally, both the state and federal level. And a lot of the things that have been in previous policy were extraneous to that, which actually could open us up to more liability having those things in there, as opposed to really being aligned with the law and those requirements. So that when you talk with the trust, and even at the conference that we went to, that was their main point in terms of a better organization, which several of you have commented on, but then really focusing on what needs to be there on the state and federal level to keep us in compliance without necessarily opening us up to other things.
Well, I truly appreciate not only the organization, but how concise the trust has made it. It's much easier to read through our policies prior to, or in comparison to what we currently have. Scott, you have any comments, questions?
No, not at this time. I'm going to I'm going to wait. I guess I'll make a comment. I see this as more of a 30,000-foot view of the policy and from what we had existing. Now I'm looking at it as, you know, trying to also do my own crosswalk at home. I wish I had 3 computer monitors that I could pull up, you know, the statute, our current policy, and the proposed policy, just so I understand how it walks through. I hope we don't strip this down to the point that, like I said, it's coming more from a different angle, maybe not as we see it here on the ground as the operators. I don't want to go down this path with the new policy and then the start of next school year we end up having to make all these amendments and changes, and we found ourselves, oh gee, we shouldn't have taken that out of this policy, oh we shouldn't have removed that. That's maybe more Cave Creek specific, because yes, a lot of our current policies we have tweaked them to be more Cave Creek specific, and we still have to follow the current statutes and requirements, legal requirements too. So I just look at it maybe from a different point of view. You know, way back when I was a parent and started attending board meetings, if something came up, it was an easy resource. I could go to the website and click on the policy, and I could look, well, what are they talking about? What's this policy? And I just hope that we don't strip it down too much to the point where now we're handcuffed, and then we'll have to start making adjustments or amendments to these policies, like I said, once we get to that point. So maybe I wasn't at the board meeting when the first presentation was made, so I need to probably go back and look at the video of that to catch that the presentation that was made from the representative from the trust. But I guess that's just where I'm at with this at the moment.
Well, my understanding, based on information that came from the trust, we should realistically only have to make amendments to the policy if the law changes. Did I understand that right from the?
Yes, President Busby, if the law should change, they will absolutely, similar to how even ASPA does now, if the law changes and there needs to be an update to the policy, they will absolutely communicate with us as well. And then speaking to Vice President Brown, again, I appreciate you going through these things. I see where you're coming from. That is why we wanted to give you a chance to look if there were changes that you felt really were important in that, for us to be able to take this time now, run them back through legal, make sure everything is set, make sure we've got the wording right, and then come back to you with a product that you're the most happy with. That's not to say that certainly events down the road won't happen. We may need to change for any number of reasons or want to alter it. Along with making sure that we meet state and federal requirements, one of the things is they did want to make it to where local control is important. So if there's something that fits us better, different, then we have that freedom to go ahead and edit those as we need. I will also say, and I don't know whether you're going to feel happy or sad about this, but I think chapters 1 and chapter 2 are the easiest chapters to get through. Chapter 3, 4, and 5, I know the teams of people working and the different people already in the process of that are going through, because we are taking the time to take our old policy, what have we done there, and is there something in there that really makes sense for us to bring? Those types of things are happening much more in chapters 3, 4, and 5 than these two, just from the experience and where we've been talking as well. So you will actually see more of that. You'll see a lot more of the policies as we continue to bring them, without the copyright sign, because if we're changing it and adding language that's currently in our policy because it's good, because we need it, because we feel it is best, then you'll notice that. And I think you'll see that more so in chapters 3, 4, and 5 than in these first two, because these are relatively short and pretty straightforward in terms of your responsibility. again, that equal opportunity and non-discrimination, and then the superintendent in Chapter 2.
Okay. All right.
Well, the letter or the email that came out with the Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, the trust will be creating a form bank for all the forms now that we'll have to switch over to the trust forms that we are currently using that are copyrighted by ASBA. So do we have a status on that?
Vice President Baum, thank you. I have not. I just put it on my list of things to do. They told me by the end of January. So, and again, some of the forms we use now we have already created, so those we can bring right over. But the few people I've talked to over that said it's an important thing that many of their people that are moving to these want a bank of forms so they don't have to make up their own. So they did think it was going to be ready by January 30th. That's another reason for our timeline, so that if we get through all of these, that still gives us May and June. If we need to create some forms that go along with that, we still have those couple months to do that should we need it. I feel very confident. Again, you see that there's not many forms in the first couple chapters. There are more forms in chapters 3, 4, and 5 to come. So I will continue to provide updates, and I'll even include it in the weekly update this week in terms of contacting them and seeing what the status of that is.
Your plan is to bring this back at the February 13th board meeting for us to vote?
For chapters 1 and chapters 2.
Will you have somebody from the trust here in case we want to ask questions, or are we needing to do that before this February 13th meeting?
I can certainly ask them. If not from the trust, certainly one of the law firms that make up the attorney groups that work for the trust. I'm sure I can get Denise Lowell-Britt out. She's one of the experts in terms of policy, be it trust or ASPA. So yes, I will reach out and get somebody here for questions.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Item 3.3, fiscal year 2023-24 financial update, presented by Mrs. Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of the board. So this evening I want to share an overview. I've kind of been dangling, here's what's coming. And so tonight we're finally going to talk about here's the reality from my projections of what we will be facing next year in the budget. So one of the things that drives our budget most, we all know this, is student enrollment. We have student ADM history here, and ADM stands for average daily membership, which is similar to enrollment, but it's a mechanism that the State Department uses to calculate what our budget capacity will be for next year. So as you can see, we have been steadily declining since COVID. And we were hoping that some of these students would come back to us, but in the reality that we live in right now with the economy, with housing costs in this district, with low birth rate, with the empowerment scholarships, what we're seeing is the steady decline as a result of not as many kindergartners enrolling in the district as we have graduating seniors. Superintendent Dozel and I have set up a meeting. Our demographer has finished the report. They've given us a preliminary one to review. We're going to sit down and we're going to look through that with him and ask questions and clarifications that we need to feel comfortable bringing that report back to you. It is showing that, yes, while there are developments, home developments that are potentially happening around us, there's not a whole lot of development happening within our boundaries. So can we capture some of those families from surrounding developments? We hope so. But for projections next year, I am anticipating we will see the same trend as we saw this year. So you can see 23 to 24 lost 200 students. I'm saying from 24 to 25, we're going to probably lose another 200 students, just based on that simple kinder, senior differentiation. So that's what we're going to budget for. We're hoping that is not the case, that I have been too aggressive with those numbers, but for budget planning, we need to make some cuts. And if we don't cut deep enough before we go into offering contracts, that would mean that there would be people on contracts that we might have to nullify their contracts. And we do have contract language. I know that Dr. Hendrickson is going to bring back the contract language, so you'll see in there that it says if funding is not available, that we could terminate a contract. None of us want to do that. So this is our plan moving forward. We're going to look at what the decrease means in our budget. Now, this is the M&O base level budget, which means this is the number that is generated strictly with student enrollment. There are other factors that go into an M&O budget. There's a factor of what we transfer from capital, and there is additional funding from the state. This is just because I wanted to see the trend based on the student counts, and am I going the right way with saying that there's going to be a decline in our budget as well. 23 was just such an anomaly to me. I'm like, I had to go back and look what happened in 23. Because we know that the enrollment is steadily declining, but what happened there? So that was the year that the state, they initially gave us like our 2% inflation increase on our base level, and then they came back and gave us another 6% on top of it, and they put it in the base level, which we love it when they do that, because that pretty much means it's sustainable, right? Where on the other hand, this year in the budget, they said, hey, here you go, have a one-time pay. Well, that doesn't do anything to help us sustain salaries or sustain, we have allocated that money to give to our employees over the next 3 years. They get a little bit of that one time, but past that, I don't have it built in the budget. So that's what happened in 23, that it just went up. So we don't know what the state is going to do this year. I am sure you have all been listening to the news, those of you who keep in touch with what legislators are doing and putting in place. They overspent the budget. They allocated, well, I can't say they overspent. They underprojected what their revenues would be, is really what the report comes out to be. Because there was some, I don't know if you remember a year or two ago, flat tax, state income tax. Great thing, right? We all loved that. We're paying less state taxes. But the result of that is now their surplus that they gave away, they're not replenishing. So, excuse me, my assumption is very generous. Assuming the decline in enrollment, but I'm also assuming that there will be a 2% inflationary increase. And then also, you've been hearing about this Prop 123 and that sunsetting, that funding sunsetting, and the governor and the legislature are both kind of jockeying, for lack of a better word, politicking, I guess, with that, saying that, oh, we're going to still fund 123 out of state land trust money. And by the way, we want it all to go to teachers. So we want to see an increase. Well, we've already been receiving that 123. We already have that in our budget, right? So if they're going to require us to redirect that and give it to teachers above and beyond, what am I going to do with what we've been doing with it already? So there's some concerns about that, but for now, I'm going to leave the 123 in there, that it's funding salaries, because that's what it is. And it's about $325,000 for us. So here's the things that you really just need to consider looking forward to next year, just some of the basic things that are happening. This isn't even in looking at any kind of increases, but we have 8 positions right now that are being funded out of ESSER 3 and results-based funding. Okay? Results-based funding is a fund that we were getting because we deliver results in this district. Our kids perform well. And we have a few schools that have positions that are funded out of this. It's going away. So there's an elimination of positions just because the funding source is going away. But we assess, are those positions making a difference in the academic achievement of our kids? You want to protect those positions that do that, right? The ones that are helping our kids succeed. And then the ESSER 3 positions, those as well, are they making a difference? So do we have to now find alternative funding for those positions? So that's a conversation that we're having in Cabinet. Increased liability insurance. I know that we pay a lot of money to Arizona Risk Retention Trust. It is a lot of money. And we have those conversations every year when I bring that proposal in front of all of you to approve. Well, what happened this year is they went and reassessed all of our buildings and said they're undervalued on the insurance. That if we had a catastrophe and they had to replace those buildings, it would cost a lot more than what they're being insured for. Kind of like your house, right? You have your house insured at a certain value. Well, this is what the trust has come back and said, we're increasing the value of those 10%. I haven't seen final numbers yet, but I'm projecting that our liability insurance will probably increase by about 10%. So that's where that 60 comes from. Health insurance increase is not going to be determined until March 1st. They send Frank and I a notice saying what our increase will be. I will tell you, last year we had a really good year, and our increase was very minimal. This year, our experience, what we've paid out in claims compared to what we've paid in premiums is 160%. That is extremely high. We have had some very high cost illnesses in our staff and our family this year. And you just have those years, right? You just have those years, and there's nothing you can do. We have all kinds of wellness things put in place for our employees to participate in. We do really well. We are always touted at the ASBE board meeting about how well our staff participates in those wellness things. The good thing about being in a pool is the other, participants kind of help minimize what our increase would be. I don't know what the increase looks like yet. I'm anticipating it's going to be higher than it was last year. Last year it was 4%. So we will have to have a hard conversation when we get those premiums about how much the district can really absorb and how much we may have to pass on to our employees, which we have never had to do in this district since I've been here. So that may be a difficult conversation, but we'll have to take a look at that. I haven't assigned a dollar value to that yet because I'm just not sure what that's going to look like. And then the 5% increase in inflation, that's always something I put in our budget. Electricity goes up. Cost of goods and services go up. Fuel price goes up. What it costs to repair our vehicles go up. Minimum wage goes up, so I'm paying more for contracted services to clean our facilities, just those types of things. So that's where that $400,000. So we're looking at all of those numbers on top of what we have to cut. So let me just kind of go through this chart with you. There's a lot of numbers on there. First column is that M&O base level that you saw in that one graph, so you can kind of see. Now the next column is capital. Since COVID, since we had that really hard year, I think most of you were around when you experienced that $4 million cut that came to the board, and there was a lot of changes to this district in the way it was structured that year. We started moving over more capital into M&O to cover salaries, to minimize cuts. Well, you can only move so much capital. I mean, we get $2.4 million in capital. So if we're already moving $2 million, that's not investing much back into the capital infrastructure of this district. And this is an aging district. We have technology we need to replace. We have furniture and equipment. capital is used to buy our software for our curriculum. You know, investing in our curriculum and our learning materials, that's where that's funded from. So $400,000 is not going to get you very far. But we can't take the $2 million out of M&O unless we make the decision to drastically cut positions in pay. And I'm not sure that we're ready to do that yet. That additional funding column there, that $322,000, that's the 123, Proposition 123 money that I'm counting in some way, shape, or form is still going to come back to us next year. So your total M&O budget. So where that happens, where you see that difference in that base level, 700,000, we're thinking, oh, 700,000, we can manage 700,000. But no, we have to look at the expenses we have already committed to. That 3.4 is what we've projecting our expenses will be. I'm looking at salaries projections. I'm looking at encumbrances to get us through the year. Now, it may be a little bit less than that, you know, once we finally spend out, and we're being very conservative this year with our goods and services. We are questioning everything and every penny that we're spending to make sure we are using the money wisely. I'm having those conversations with directors. On a weekly basis, I meet with the directors and we talk about how they're running their departments and how they're spending their money. But if you look at the next year, saying that all things remain the same, 34.4 is what we're going to spend because we've committed, and that's what we're spending this year. And then I've added 500,000, a little bit less than 500,000, and that's just for the knowns, right? The insurance inflation and for the liability insurance and the inflation, okay, 460,000. That's not incorporating any of those positions that are being funded by Title and ESSER right now, okay? And so we're looking at 2.5. Now, that number is high, and we've had many conversations in Cabinet about this. This year, we would have been short 1.3. We chose to kick the can down the road, if you will. Whether that be a right or wrong decision, that's how we chose to handle it. This district was in a little bit of instability, right, towards the end of the year, and we decided that it probably wasn't a good year to start cutting positions, honestly. I mean, we all had that conversation as a cabinet. And so we had that $2 million, though. See that budget balance column? We have that $2 million that we carried over. That's what helped us with the 1.3 this year. Remember having that conversation that I said ESSER helped us? We don't have ESSER to bail us out next year. Okay? So we will have a little bit of carry forward going into this year, but here's my philosophy on that, and my as the being the fiduciary fiscal person for the district is you want to have some money in savings, right? You don't want to run 0-0 balance every year. You got to have something. And I'm projecting we'll probably have about maybe 1.2, which in my terms, I like to have 3 months of operating expenses in the bank, right? And I think that's good for our personal lives too, right? You want at least 3 months in case something was to happen. 1.2 is not going to give us 3 months. It's going to give us like a month and a half. You think we spend, about $3 million a month, right? With that expenditures. So that's the picture. Now, what I have asterisked there is that one-time funding that we set aside for increases for our staff is being protected. It is not included in this chart anywhere. It's not included in the conversations on we're just going to take that $600,000 that we had set aside for increases, and we're just going to help this this negative that we have that we're projecting. Because we promised our employees that if they trusted us to not give them it all at 1 year, that we would protect it for the next 3 years to pay them. Okay? I feel very strongly when I make a promise that it's something I would like to keep. Obviously, at the end of the day, it is the governing board's decision on whether they want to utilize that to minimize cuts that may have to happen. But I think from your administration, you're probably not going to get that recommendation. So I'm just putting that out there. Superintendent Dolezal and I talk all the time about we believe that it's important to be honest, even if sometimes that honesty is hard to hear. Okay? So here's what we've been doing in the conversations that we are having with, we've had conversations with our IBN. We have had conversations with our leaders, our principals, our directors, on their input on where they feel we can make some adjustments that will have the minimal impact to the classroom. Okay? So reduction in staffing due to student enrollment. That's just kind of a natural thing, right? The governing board has established class size recommendations for us to follow. Okay? Certain amount for K, for 1, 2, for 3, 4. So we've looked at those class sizes and we said, how can we take those governing board guidelines and incorporate this now into our reduced student enrollment? Because remember, we didn't cut any teachers this year, right? We did not minimize that to make up for the 200 students we lost this year. So the cuts that we're recommending, the reduction in staffing, I'm not going to say cuts, I don't like that word, but reduction in staff because of the decline in enrollment will probably be a little more drastic than they would have normally if we had done it for just 200 kids as opposed to 400. Okay? So that's the first thing we're looking at. The other thing is, along with reductions, we also look at alternative funding sources that we might be able to utilize for some of these things. Okay? So, for instance, the positions that are being funded out of ESSER 3 and the results-based funding, maybe we can fund them out of another source if we feel that they are really a vital position to the district. So you have Medicaid reimbursement. That is money that's generated for services that our paraprofessionals, our bus drivers, our psychologists, our speech therapists, services that they deliver to our special needs students. We get reimbursed by the federal government for that. We get to file claims, much like you would have, any other kind of claim that you would file for services for medical support. We have some reserve in that area. We can take a look at using that for some staffing. Classroom site fund, again, we pay our teachers their bonus and we pay them additional money to their base level with that, but we do have a reserve in there as well because we've gotten some pretty hefty increases in that area the last couple of years. Maybe that could be. We're always on the look for grants, and how our grants can support, and I think that, our special education director and our academic support director, they are both looking at how we can put some positions in grants. And then indirect cost, that funds our people that are in HR, the people that are in business services, that support behind the scenes that help those grants run. And so we might be able to maybe fund another person out of indirect costs. So these are the conversations we're having. We're putting this package together to bring back to the board so you can kind of see what our recommendations will be for next year. Efficiency savings, again, like I said, we're always talking about possibly restructuring staffing in a department. Maybe we could eliminate a position or two. I've already had those conversations with a couple of our directors, and so there may be some positions that just aren't filled. They're vacant now, and they're just not filled. Or we know people are retiring. We just won't fill them. That kind of conversation. And then at the end of the day, though, if the demographer comes out and we're looking at this as being a trend, right, that we're going to be losing, 150, 200 kids every year, we need a long-term plan for this. You can't just kind of patch quilt this. It's not going to work that way. So Superintendent Dolezal, myself, and probably our facilities director, because there will be use of facilities, and maximizing our facilities will be involved. So we're going to put a committee together, and we're going to start looking at how to plan for the future in this district, and how we move forward positively to still educate the kids in this district at the very high level that we educate them. It just may look a little bit of a different structure. You know, maybe it's time to renew the district, look at it in a different way. So what the board can expect is, now in your board packet and online, it's posted that we were going to bring this back on the 13th. We looked at that and we said the 27th is a work study. Work studies are give the board a little bit more flexibility to kind of have an interactive conversation with us. So when we finally bring all of the recommendations that we're looking at to the board, I want it to be kind of an interactive with the board and allow the board to maybe give some suggestions or changes or ideas that they might have in order to reduce this. The other thing that looks at is, before we bring back the final, here's what we're going to increase pay by or offer contracts to people, the governing board sees what our plan is before they agree to all of that. And then when we bring the budget for you guys to approve in June, these recommendations will be incorporated in the conversation we have with the budget, so that you know we are proposing a balanced budget to you. Okay, it's that we've been thoughtful about how we're going to do that. Okay, I've talked enough. It's a lot of information. So now I would like to entertain any questions the board may have.
That was a lot of information.
I'm sorry.
And
yes.
I appreciate it, because I know a lot of work went into putting that all together for us. I want to make a comment. You had hit upon the money that's set aside for the future promise.
All
yeah.
staff, yes.
Yes. You said it was important for our teachers to trust us, and I'm glad that you said that, because we did make a promise. And it's important that this is my personal opinion, it's important that we stand behind a promise that we made, because that speaks to who we are and what we're about. And so I appreciate you bringing that forward. A question, on the 27th, I assume that's when we'll see information from IBN?
President Busby, members of the board, yes, we're looking at either the 13th or the 27th. A lot of our conversations within IBN, knowing that they've had somewhat of a preview of this presentation for Ms. Rodriguez's last IBN meeting, is looking at what are our working conditions. A real focus on that. What are some things that we can make and adjustments we can make to bring in value to teachers, improve the work-life balance, things like that. So none of these, I don't anticipate any recommendations from IBN regarding raises at this time, kind of more looking at working conditions, how they're going to use that additional one-time money that was allocated that we've split over the next 3 years. Do we want to split it in a different way? We're going to make a recommendation for that, so that all employees are still continuing to get that stipend that we did this year. So that's kind of what we're going to anticipate with that presentation.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have questions, comments?
Will we have the information back from the demographer, the report, sometime soon?
Yes. Superintendent Dolzel and I are meeting with him next week. So we could be bringing that to you as early as the 13th.
And then did we ever see the report from the state on the number of vouchers from our zip codes?
No, we have been trying to get that level of detailed data from them. We also have other people that work on data all the time trying to get the information from them. So they've been pretty tight in releasing that detail. We're probably going to have to do a FOIA as a collective school districts to get that information.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
The report back from the demographer, I hope I'm saying that right, is he going to come present that to us, or he's presenting it to you and then you're bringing that data to us?
No, we would have him come and present that so that you would be able to ask questions about his methodology and those types of things.
It's the same guy that was here before? A couple of months ago? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it would be the same person that has come before the board before.
All right. Well, this is not unexpected, but I do appreciate the efforts that are going into all these thinking, because it will be a little bit tough road to hoe, but I appreciate the efforts that you guys are doing to bring us the best alternatives at this time, I guess. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, item 4, action consent. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, item 4 passes. We have no old business under item 5. Item 6.1, fiscal year 2024-25 schedule for business and work study governing board meetings, presented by Mr. Dolezal.
President Busby, members of the board, administration proposes that you accept the proposed calendar in 6.1 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments?
Question and or comment on the meetings in January. We should probably make the organizational meeting on that January 14th if you want to do organizational / business, which would be fine, and then have your work study meeting still on the 28th.
Vice President Brown, so just to be clear, proposing combining the organization, which would be the election of president, vice president, et cetera, and combining that with the business meeting, and then just having a work study meeting as that second session.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other suggested changes? We need another motion.
Calendar.
Well, you need a motion to amend this to reflect that.
Okay, so is there a motion to accept the amended calendar, switching the organizational / business meeting to January 14th, 2025, and then the work study would remain on January 28th? Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Okay, now we need to vote. No, that was our vote.
No.
We just voted.
That was it.
Okay, I'm still hung up on your numbers. All right, item 7.1, calendar of upcoming events. Mr. Dolezal.
President Busby, members of the board, now that I have my readers on, upcoming events, we have our business partner breakfast tomorrow at the Holland Center, 7:30 a.m. for networking and 8 o'clock starts. I know we are very excited because within that, this will be an opportunity for us to do our portrait of a graduate with our business members and what they believe the skills and abilities that they'd like to see our 12th graders graduating with. President's Day, February 19th, schools and district offices are closed. You got your spring break dates there. Please realize that the district office would be closed the 13th through 15th. Then we just have the one-day March break, the 29th. Rock the District, put on your calendars already, April 13th. And I do understand that the three amigos are returning to host the Rock the District. And then our final business partner breakfast is April 17th for the year.
All right. Okay, item 8, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned at 7:15.